Alright, Final Fantasy XIV's new patch is here. Is it worth your time? Well, I've returned to Eorzea to play the latest chapter and I'm a bit mixed on things.
Oh, welcome back!
Let's break it down. First, if you're a fan of Final Fantasy XI like me, this might just be the most interesting part. Well, if I can get into a raid group. We've got a new 24-player alliance raid that starts in 11's Kingdom of Sandoria. You get to join one of 3 nations in 11. I always started in Bastok, and there was a bit of rivalry between nations, but very nostalgic to return to Sandoria.
Chateau Doraghi? Is this meant to be Sandoria?
Lots of references and notorious monsters I vaguely remember from 11. You see that big rainbow up there? Well, there's plateaus nearby, and whenever anyone unlocks Summoner over there, Carbuncle forms a rainbow in the sky for everyone to see. I like to think that's what that rainbow is. Incredible attention to detail. I heard that Final Fantasy XI developers even assisted with designing the raid. That's so cool. First big boss is...
I am Kirin.
Kirin was on my wish list of bosses to return from 11, but I am a bit mixed on this fight. It is a bit weird we're fighting him here. Back in the day you'd fight him in Sky. That's the gorgeous looking place we saw in the background of the previous raid, but I do like that's actually pointed out in game he shouldn't be here. Now this bit is really cool. Kirin summons the other gods from Sky during the fight.
Oh, say you, scatter blood upon the wind.
It's 1 of 4 and it's random which one it is. It seems to be random every time you run the raid, and sometimes if the fight goes on a while you do see a second god. That's my favourite bit of Kirin. Part of me wishes we got to see all the gods in a single fight, but it does add replayability to the raid. Decent fight, but I definitely don't remember any big fists in the original. We then get teleported to the big airship battle that takes place during the Chains of Promethea expansion pack. I really like how we skydive transition between airships, but it does look a bit goofy when everyone does it at the same time. And speaking of at the same time,
It's Ultima and Omega, and they're attacking those airships.
I think this is an incredible concept. Love how random airships get caught in attacks. But it's a bit of a messy fight. It's a disco dancer moving out of the way of things and trying to calculate the safe spots in advance. I admit I then ran it a few times and the fight did groan me a little. But is it just me, or do the airship models look a little low polygon? We're then teleported to Quifim Island. It's connected to Juno, and previously I predicted this was Biodesine Glacier. My mistake, it's aesthetically very similar, it's Quifim. This place looks absolutely gorgeous. The modern take on this place is incredible. I wish we had entire zones that look like this. I love it. And we get pushed to the big tower in the distance. Delkfoot's tower.
Come then, show me what your kind can do.
I think my favourite part has to be Kam'lanaut. He's the Archduke of Juno and one of the main villains from the Rise of the Zealot expansion.
Behold the glory of the Zealot!
His boss fight really leans into one of Final Fantasy XI's core systems, the elemental wheel. There's fire, ice, wind, earth, lightning, water, and there's also light and dark. In 11 different days of the week had elemental themes, fire's day, water's day, and what day it was would influence different spells and even crafting. Elements aren't quite as complicated here, but still really cool fight. Another attention to detail I really like are these elemental crystals. They remind me of the crystals you need to go to fight the summons in 11. You might not realise it because it's a bit disjointed, but we then go back to the very core of Sky to fight Eald'narche, the final boss of the Rise of the Zealot expansion.
Your time ends now!
If you listen carefully, there's an alarm going off. It gives me flashbacks of the very start of the next expansion, but there's also an alarm going off and Bahamut awakens. I admit, I think I like the Kam'lanaut fight more, but I thought it was really cool. There's a moment where Eald'narche is self-aware and realises he's not in Final Fantasy XI.
This is not Varna deal. I'm well aware of that.
Lots of moving about again, and I do love the cinematic phase transition.
I will eliminate you and make this world ours!
Well, there was this one guy who bugged out and was just standing stuck in the middle of the cinematic. And we transition to what a lot of old school Final Fantasy XI players call C. Was not expecting that, really cool surprise because the original fight just took place in Sky, really knocking everything off my wishlist for the 11 raids. We got both Sky and C now. And absolutely must mention, the music is completely incredible straight from Final Fantasy XI. I think it's a pretty good Alliance raid, big trip down memory lane, but I think I liked the previous raid more, I'm still deciding. I think I liked a lot more of the gameplay mechanics, I think it was more consistent in the previous one. Maybe if you've not played Final Fantasy XI, I think this time these bosses are going to be harder to appreciate. Love it for the most part, overall a thumbs up from me, I got a lot of the stuff I wanted to see from 11. Right, before we get into the next part of the patch, if you're a huge fan of RPGs, consider subbing to Peter Bytes or liking the video. I'm a bit of an indie game developer, cover lots of RPGs. You might like my Final Fantasy series where I'm replaying them all and ranking them as I go. Thank you.
Right. Time we got back to work.
Something worth a quick mention, chat bubbles. So this is a new system level feature. In the game world you can now see chat bubbles of what other players say. Don't worry, you still get player messages in your chat box as usual. Just be aware you do have to enable chat bubbles in the options. Took me a little while to find, they're hidden in character configuration, log window settings, and then this chat bubble settings box here. You've got a few different options to customize and color them. I personally like to set mine to max size. And chat bubbles are such a small feature, but I love them. I think they really make the game world more immersive, and to be honest, I think I find it easier to read chat bubbles rather than trying to read the chat box while I'm playing and focusing on my rotations or a boss. The main meaning of this patch is the continuation of the main story. This is the end of the Dawntrail Story Arc that started in 7.0, and I've got mixed feelings on it. I was kind of liking where the story was going in the last chapter. I thought Sreen was becoming an interesting character, I was feeling empathetic towards her, but 7.3, I don't hate it, but I wouldn't say I love it either. I think Final Fantasy XIV has done much better storytelling. I consider the entire Dawntrail Story Arc to be the weakest out of all of them.
Truly. It feels like a lifetime ago that it all began.
To be honest, I've been replaying Final Fantasy XIV's story from scratch on a new old character, and I've got to admit it's kind of reminded me just how incredible a lot of the story was. Some of it is absolute cinema.
Both the happy times and the sad.
I'll try to talk about it without heavy spoilers. I'll show all of the new dungeon, I'll keep the story bits light, and there's a new 8-person trial, but I'm going to keep its identity a secret. One thing I will praise, there was a segment in the story with lots of little puzzles. And I thought I'd hate them, but I actually really enjoyed them. I wouldn't mind seeing more of these and maybe integrating puzzles into other forms of content as well. As part of those puzzles, you could say I got a massive jump scare when I opened a locker. I remember we used to have little puzzles like in the Sunken Temple of Quan. I'd like to see them make a comeback. Ultimately, I feel Dawntrail hasn't done a great job of getting me invested in its story or a lot of its characters. Some of the 7.3 story is about Geode, and I genuinely cannot even remember who this character is.
Leave him alone!
And our antagonist at the minute is Calyx, a nerdy guy. I think he's alright. I kind of interpret him to have elements of Garland from Final Fantasy IX, and Dawntrail's main story is very much themed on 9. He wants to harvest another world's souls to make his endless. But Calyx has only just been introduced to the story in the last patch, so we haven't had a ton of time with him, but our main story is very much about going up against Calyx. Part of that includes going into a new dungeon, Meso Terminal. Again, mixed on the new dungeon. My favourite bit has to be the second boss fight. Your team gets split up into 4 separate prisons, and each player has to face their own boss. It is such a cool twist on the usual formula. I love the sense of independence, and I'd love to see more mechanics like that in future fights.
Criminals may run, but they cannot escape.
But apart from that, I thought the rest of the dungeon was disappointing. Your usual hallway of 2 packs of monsters, a door, 2 packs of monsters, then a boss. I was hopeful for more Final Fantasy IX themed bits based on the previews, but I will say final boss reminded me of a certain boss in Elden Ring. Overall, mixed on Meso Terminal. And going into the finale of the story, you've got a big 8-player trial fight I won't spoil, but I personally couldn't feel the stakes. But like I said, this is the end of the Dawntrail Story Arc that started with 7.0, so I'm looking forward to something new. To be entirely honest, there's not an awful lot for me to do right now. Normally I'd farm the new player vs player series, that's like a pseudo battle pass, but I'm not really interested in the rewards this time. Maybe you'll like it, it's not for me, and there's often ways to get these rewards later down the line for less effort. That said, there is a new Crystalline Conflict map, the Bayside Battleground, I might check that out. Like I said, my most anticipated feature was the Deep Dungeon Pilgrim's Traverse, and it's less than 2 months away. Kind of annoying that they split patches up like this these days, because right now would have been the perfect time for me to get deep into that. But if you ask me if you should return for patch 7.3, maybe if you enjoy Dawntrail Story, but maybe consider holding out till patch 7.35 instead, where you'll get the new deep dungeon, something to really get your teeth into. I'm actually having a lot of fun replaying the story and a new character. If you haven't done it in a while, I'd recommend replaying it. Absolutely incredible. And I'm doing that in preparation of my series where I'm replaying every Final Fantasy. You really need to see my return to Final Fantasy XII because this time round, I found a new appreciation for 12, and I went a bit further and ranked the Espers. It's all on screen at the minute. Have a good one.